Just for the team.
Okay, good.
Just for the team. This is the hoodie I got from Cardano last in Dubai. It's really good quality. And here's my wife. You got
I'm a
yours.
husky buddy too. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Good start on Cardano then.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got other merch around, but not very exciting. Got a badge. Yeah.
Oh, you got that. Right. I think the wife's got one of those mirror, similar shape, slightly bigger, but you can open it up as a mirror inside.
I'm wearing it. Oh, okay. Very nice. For powder in your nose. I've got a Claymates t-shirt as well from Clay Nation, the guys who do the clay animation on NFTs.
Okay. Yeah.
They're the ones who brought Snoop Dogg to the Cardano ecosystem.
Is that who they are?
They're based in London, and they created, do you know Aardman animations with Wallace and Gromit and
Yes.
those characters, very much like that. So animations made out of clay. So they do NFT versions of these clay-based figures, and they're called the Claymates. And they did one of Snoop Dogg, and he liked it, and so came on and did some promo events with them.
Yeah, Charles mentioned it on his video yesterday. I was watching, and
Okay.
I thought, where's that come from? So that's why I was interested.
Right, yeah.
Nation. Right.
Clay Nation, yeah. So they teamed up with Snoop Dogg about a year ago, something like that. So on the way down into the bear. So I'd be excited for the bull. And that's how Charles ended up spending time with Snoop and his son. They all been out to his ranch and rode around on quad bikes and probably sat in his Black Hawk helicopter. Billionaires playing at what billionaires do. But yes, we've got some very nice movements in the last month on Cardano. Have we been appreciating those? Been able to keep an eye on it a little bit?
Yeah, amazing.
So just in the last couple of days, we've had 11% twice overnight, which is you wake up with a very, very different looking portfolio than when you went to sleep, which is really cool. And we're only at the beginning, so a long way to go. So one thing I wanted to show you is some new tech that is launching, and this is by one of the most mature development teams on Cardano, I would say. So if you are interested in decentralized exchanges, in launch pads, and in incubators, these are guys to look at. Screen 2 is the one. That's all right. It takes me a while. And Genius Yield, I've been speaking about them for a couple of years now. So the head tech lead, I suppose, behind this business is Lars Brunjes, who is or was, I'm not sure exactly on his status now, but he was the chief educator in IOG, which is the company that built Cardano, the chief educator on Plutus, which is the language that is behind the smart contract platform on Cardano. So you have Haskell as the software language that's been around for 20, 30 years. Hang on, not quite sure anyway. Something like that. And then you've got Plutus, which is sort of a Cardano specific set of tools on top of Haskell. Haskell is used throughout the financial industry because it is a very robust programming language, functional programming language that lets you write maths proofs for all the code that you're writing. So you don't get to compile your program unless it is mathematically sound. And so it makes it very good for financial platforms, things like that. And Lars Brunjes was a Haskell developer, joined IOG and then headed up their adoption, creation of Plutus, and went on to run the first few cohorts of educating the world about Plutus. He has his side spin-off project called Genius Yield, and on there he's sort of building out the tools in the way that he foresaw could be done with the UTXO model. So I've said it before, but you've got Bitcoin, which has the UTXO, the unspent transaction output model. You've got Ethereum with an order book model. And now you have Cardano with an extended UTXO model. So we've got the sort of benefits of Bitcoin's original setup with some extended parameters that let us do some really incredible things. And Lars Brunjes, who backs this team, is one of the foremost thinkers in the UTXO, and has developed new ways of working, or influenced ways of working, certainly all around the space, that give people a whole load more autonomy over their own tokens all the time, and relying less on individual third-party operations that can sway the markets anyway. So whenever you're dealing with any kind of exchange, typically you're working on an automated market maker. On Cardano now, there's more automated market makers than there are order. I'm sorry, I'm going a bit of a rabbit hole, but bear with me. More automated market makers than there are order books. An automated market maker basically creates the balance between pairs when you're swapping automatically, hence the name. And an order book will wait for someone else to be selling the amount of tokens that you want to buy, and then match those orders together. So with an AMM, there are pools of these tokens held, and liquidity providers will come in, put their tokens in pairs so that people can do swaps between them. And that's a way of generating income from your holdings while you are holding. And so, excuse me, the extended UTXO model has been sort of subverted in this space, because what effectively an AMM will do is create a off-chain batcher, which is responsible for queuing and processing transactions that come through the dexes. So people will place an order to swap, that will go into a queue, and then along with several other people's, and a batch will come along and process all those at once and get them back up on chain. But while that's happening, there's a whole load of movements in the markets that could happen. There are batch of fees that can be added in. People can take their little cut, and so that's moved away from the real decentralized finance, no third parties, peer-to-peer transactions. And so Genius Yield are experts in trying to revive and ensure that that quality of approach is maintained throughout their products. And so the DEX has been long awaited, and it will have it won't use a batcher model. It will have the option for transactions to be processed across all the markets on Cardano. So we've got DEXs like Muesli Swap and Sunday Swap and Min Swap. We've got a new one launched, I talked about last week, called Teddy Swap. We've got Spectrum Finance now, come over from Ergo. A really thriving space. Wing Riders, of course, thriving space. And all these are forming transactions on chain, and they can all be processed by each other. And that's not happening to a large extent yet, but now it's starting to. And Genius Yield is sort of contributing to that mix of things. And so it's exciting to see what they're building out here. And now this is on testnet. So if you are keen to try things out, you like playing with things and not spending any money, then this is a good way of doing it. You can go and get some free ADA from the faucet. Now this is testnet ADA, so it has no real world value. You can't exchange it for other tokens or sell it to exchanges, but you can play with it on a testnet. And then you can come in and try out some of these tools like Genius Yield's DEX. I've talked about AxoTrade as well a couple of weeks ago, and their DEX is also available on testnets at the moment. So two really big heavy hitters. AxoTrade looks phenomenal. Genius Yield has got some really interesting things in the back end that again, going to be very solid, very robust. But I would sort of class Genius Shield as a veteran project with low degen metric. So if you're interested in high gains and hugely yields, then Genius Shield's probably not a place for you, but it is a place to look at sensible, steady, strong growth with reliable tokenomics behind it. They work very hard at making yield, as in earning from your holdings, sustainable long term, rather than just allowing you to launch a token that loses all its value in rewards, initial rewards. They try and avoid that. So yeah, good place to get in play. And this is the latest offering. So it looks very much like all the other dexes we've seen in and around. The significant differences are in the back end. But you can see this, they're using this order book model instead of an AMM, and that will allow us to bypass the whole batcher process, which is where people can sneak little fees in here and there. And that's what the controversy was around MusiSwap, which I'm heavily invested in MusiSwap, so I don't want to diss them, but they had a communication issue, public relations issue, in that they had a batcher fee that was happening that was not explained in language that people could understand. It was misinterpreted, and it came back to them in a bit of a backlash, and their price dumped. However, since then, the price is massively pumped again, so they're doing all right. But this does away with all that risk and puts you firmly in control of your transactions, your swaps, all the rest of it. So a good place to go and play. If you wanted to play, I would recommend getting hold of Eternal Wallet, as that's the best one for interacting with dApps that that I use. I love it. It's great. Down here, I don't know if you can see that in the bottom right hand corner, you can switch your wallet between mainnet, which is, think of it as real money, and then test nets, which are virtual money. So I can switch my Eternal Wallet from mainnet. Actually, let me just check to see which network this is operating on. It doesn't actually say, it just says call it testnet. So I imagine my preview. So let's switch to preview testnet. And I don't actually have a wallet here. So I'm just going to go and create a new one. Actually, I've got some credentials. That's going to be a lot faster for me to get going with. So if you bear with me. So preview testnet is one version of Cardano that is running all the time, but doesn't have any real ADA on it. But it has lots of other native tokens and test data. And all of these tokens are sort of trials for how it will work and operate on mainnet. So they all have aspirations to get into mainnet, but they play around on testnet first. The usefulness of that means that all the dApp creators and all the developers have something that they can really get to grips with without having to risk any of their own operating capital, and there are several stake pool operators who run testnet nodes in parallel with their mainnet nodes, so that this whole environment can stay alive. Doing two things at once. Where's my code? There we go. If I just drag this off, there's 1 second. So Nearly with you. Gonna be the wrong wallet once I've done all this. I just know it is. Okay, it should be in now. So this is my preview wallet. I think if I click that, and you can see I've got in it 30,000 test ADA. And you can go once a day to the faucet, the tap of test ADA, and get yourself 10,000 ADA. So then that gives you some funds to play around with. So once you're in here, you can then connect hopefully to, oops, let me switch the DApp connector on. So this is Eternal in preview mode. I've got this wallet selected, and I'm going to click the plug icon to turn on my DApp connector so I can actually interact with some applications. That's gone green. I can jump over to my app now, choose Eternal, and which is now giving me a request to talk to test.geniusyield.co. Going to grant access, and it's now seeing my wallet address up here, and I can carry out some tests and swaps. So it pops up this new form down the bottom that shows my orders. I don't have any placed as of yet. Let's take some of my, I'm not going to use all of it. Let's take 1,000 of my ADA and buy some GENS tokens. Oh, I haven't got my collateral set in my wallet. See these little alerts down the bottom. So you might see this on mainnet as well. If you haven't got your wallet set up before, if you're interacting with dApps, you can go to Eternal again. And then in here, under the wallet settings, you've got this section here to set collateral. And collateral is normally about 5 ADA that will allow you to interact with dApps. And it's kind of like a buffer, a transaction that has no other transactions in it, a UTXO that has no other transactions in it other than ones that interact with dApps, and just holds ADA, no tokens, other tokens. And then that will let you work. So that's one step you might have to go through when you're playing or real world working with Cardano. So I've got 1,000, nearly 2,000 ADA. I'm going to buy 78 GENS tokens with that. And these prices, I think, are effectively the real world fiat prices for the tokens. So you are getting an impression of how the swaps would be going on live. And then here you can place an order. It breaks down the fee for you. Right. So this is actually going to be a fee-free transaction, which I don't quite know how that works. It should be like 0.17 fee. Perhaps not on this preview net. Okay, no, there's an issue going on. Let me try refreshing, see if it's... Go on, Dinesh.
Yeah, I'm just on my Eternal app on the mobile. Just wanted to know, where do I go to select to create this wallet for test?
So you've gone down to the bottom right, you clicked into preview mode in purple, little purple button. And once you click that, you get this pop-up offering you...
Oh, I see. It says mainnet. So preview test net. Okay, I've got it. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.
Cool. So it's disconnected from the wallet again. They're refreshed. Well connected. But it's not letting me transact now. Actually, my balance has gone down. Is it gone down? No, maybe not. I think we might be too early to this test. It doesn't look quite together yet. What is our going in? Let's swap. Let's do a market order for 2,000 ADA. Oh, here we go. There we get 79 Genius yield tokens, unknown server error. Got some issue. So if I wasn't on call with you, I'd now go through some debugging and see if I can get an error report into them. Not seeing. Quick glance while I'm here. Down to load receipt. Okay, so there may be some incompatibility with the browser I'm using. I'll probably be interested in that, so I'll come back, revisit this, and then report it to their testnet, to their testers. But this is how development is done. You get to see the nice, pretty front end that all works once it's finally got to mainnet, but in the back end, there are people practically fiddling around with ugly bits of code, trying to work out what's gone wrong. But if you do want to have a play, this is a great place to do it. So you can go in and try place an order one more time. Still doesn't have any fee information, so I don't think it's going to work. Ooh, it's trying harder this time. No, failed again. Okay, so if you have different luck, give me a shout on Discord and let me know how you get on. And then we can perhaps put in some reports to Genius Shield. But they are a good team to keep an eye on. And if you do want to look at their token, you can get hold of it, and they offer some staking options for their tokens and for others in the space as well. So you have geniusshield.co as a domain. And if you're a holder of NMaker, or I'll just switch wallet back to mainnet, because this is a live one. Not sure if I've got any actual tokens are relevant in this one. Let's have a quick try. Yeah, so you can stake Gens, NMaker, NTX, EMP, or GensX through this platform. So Gens and GensX are related to Genius Shield themselves. NMaker is the largest NFT tech platform on Cardano. NTX is the artificial intelligence decentralized infrastructure project. And EMP is Empower, which I'm going to talk about a bit later as well. And they are a real-fi project, building houses, connecting borrowers to property developers, and actually creating homes in Mozambique at the moment. And GensX was the token attached to the Genius Shield Launchpad, which saw some other tech teams be nurtured and grow out of the Plutus Pioneers project, mostly, it seems. And there are NFTs that Genius Shield released as well. They'll get you a boost on your staking rewards. So I think staking can be like up to 12% if you're going for longer time frames. So say you had 10,000 NMaker, then you can. I don't have any NFTs in that wallet, so you can't see it. But you get like a 10% APY over 12 months. And then with the NFTs, you can boost that by 2.5%, I think, something like that. And I actually have some NFTs that I'm willing to give away to stakers to the pool. So if you've done through the extra steps of registering for bonus rewards on Fluid Pool by following my tutorial right to the bitter end, then you'll find a way to register for giveaways. And in there, I've got some Genius Shield NFTs. If you wanted extra staking rewards, then you can come and get yourself one of those. No takers as of yet, so they're still available. And next thing I wanted to look at was, any questions on any of that? Do interrupt me at any point. Back to mainnet now, looking at governance, which is, you know, the more dry topic, but crucial if we're going to see real world adoption, world changing adoption of digital currencies. We've got to be able to make decisions as a group. So this is the Cardano ballot platform that's being built out by Cardano Foundation. So it's not being built by IOG, who created Cardano. It's not being built by Emergo, who work with enterprises. This is built by the foundation themselves, the non-profit who manage the Cardano treasury. So these are the guys who are supposed to be looking after the treasury, make sure it's being used for the desires set by the holders of ADA. And so the tools that they build will all be far more lofty in ambition, I would call them. And this is their first foray into developing for governance protocols within Cardano. And they've created a ballot, and they're basing it on around the CIP 1694 paper. CIP is a Cardano improvement proposal, and that's the way that we change things in around Cardano. 1694 is the year of the birth of Voltaire, who I don't know a lot about, but I know that he was involved in creating revolutionary new frameworks for governance. And so this is a nod to him, and you can actually vote on this white paper. Just show your opinion on whether it's going in the right direction or at this point using this ballot. So the SIP itself should be linked from here. That would be a sensible thing to do. I don't think it is. Interesting. That's going to be worthwhile. You're actually having access to. So actually, one of the best places to read about it is on 1694.io, which isn't put together by Cardano Foundation, but is put together by our good friend Darlington from Lido Nation, who is very heavily involved in Project Catalyst and a good friend to the space. So you can come on here, you can see the actual content of the white paper itself is built into much more sort of reader friendly than just reading a technical PDF. Talks about the people involved, plans, what the plans are, and where we want to go with it, how we're going to be set up with member bodies, stake pool operators, community, enterprise, and how together we'll make decisions for the future of Cardano. If you think this white paper's heading in the right direction, then as a sort of first test of the tech, you can come in and vote in the Cardano ballot. There are several restrictions, several failings, not failings, but what's it called? Not quite there yet, things to this ballot. Major one being that they don't support hardware wallets. So you can only vote really with a hot wallet. And most diligent crypto holders will hold the bulk of their holdings in a hardware wallet or cold storage of some sort. So you can't actually interact with the ballot if you are one of those holders with the bulky holdings. You can with the hot wallet. So if you're interacting with DEXs and DApps, then you've probably got some ADA in a hot wallet in Eternal, for example, and you can come and vote in the ballot here. So you would connect your wallet, same as we did before. You get the pop-up for choosing your wallet. Choose Eternal. You get to confirm on the SIP30 connector, grant access. And they will check then if you've actually voted before or not. You get this signing page. Again, this is a non-transact. You're not paying anything to sign this transaction, but you are proving that you own the wallet that's talking to the DApp. So you can see my stake key, the utext, the context that the transaction is being signed for, and it's requesting for a signature from this stake key. And so I can go ahead and sign this. I think I'm on I think I know which wallet I'm on. Spending password in, sign that transaction, and it will run a check now to see if I've voted with this wallet before or not. Doesn't appear that I have. Then I could say yes, no, or abstain. 3 very simple options to get us started in governance on Cardano, whether you like the look of this SIP 1694 or not. And are we headed in the right direction? And so you can choose any of those. I currently am in favor of it. I think it's a step in the right direction in that we do need some public input into the white paper. And we do need a framework for making decisions that are out of the hands of IOG, Cardano Foundation, and Emergo. They're the ones that hold the Genesis keys at the moment. They're the only ones that can really make a change on Cardano. But if we can bring that into the hands of the community, then that's the right direction for things to go in terms of making sure we don't end up with a centralized corrupt system like the fiat world that we're living in. We need to give over the keys of power into the hands of the people. And so this is part of that process. And I think it's a good thing to do. So I can now look at submitting my ballot with that wallet. I'll sign again. Again, no fees involved, no transaction involved, no figures in red that tells you what you're spending from your wallet, no figures in green showing that you're receiving something into your wallet. It's just all white text. That's how I interpret Eternal's user interface. Click sign, and there you go. I've submitted. I've contributed to the governance of Cardano. It's very early days, very it's more of a test than anything else, but at least it shows some participation from the community. So if you could all do that, it'd be great. Just to give, you don't have to have a strong opinion. You can even abstain, but just to fill that in is a good process to do. You're not spending anything. You're not transacting with any of your actual funds. But if you have a wallet, a hot wallet that you can interact with the blockchain on Cardano blockchain, then do go and vote. I'd encourage everyone to get in there. Just voice your opinion, because the more voices we have heard, the more participation there is, the more likely is we'll get to a decision that is representative of everybody rather than just the few geeks who are right at the core of Cardano. So it seems to be spread out to everybody. There we go. So I'll drop the links into the Discord as I always do, and you can have a play or a vote. Any questions on any of that? Another testnet app that's being developed at the moment by some good guys. So you may know Cardano with Paul, if you're a Cardano fan. He's an Irish lad who does some really great interviews with people in around the space. He knows his stuff and really gets some good insight into a lot of the projects. So you can check out his YouTube channel if you haven't already. And you see all the people he's interviewed. Frederick Kierkegaard, who's the director, I don't know what you call him, COO of a non-profit, CEO of a non-profit, Cardano Foundation itself. Anybody else we've been talking about just recently? Project Catalyst obviously is on there, and Optim Finance. There's a good interview there with Zygo Meb. It's quite deep. Zygo is a proper in-depth software developer geek, and also a finance geek as well. So that's quite heavy listening with some really stuff beyond my ability, but good to have someone carrying out those sort of interviews in the space as well. So this guy Paul is a good one to listen to, and he has got a development team working on this Ada Markets application, and here's got some really nice features that will be available soon. I need the testnet URL. Have I not got the testnet URL? I don't think I have. Let's see guess what it was. Oh, that's right. This might be a private beta. I've forgotten now. Yeah, I can't remember the URL, and it's got a link to it. So actually, this might be. I might have come to this a bit early. I think it's only available if you've signed up for their Discord server and asked to participate in the testnet. So you can do that if you're keen. This is a link to their Discord, ada.markets/Discord. And then in there'll be a channel for asking to participate in the beta, and get them some feedback on their developments. The features that that I wanted to show you was their DCA system. So they have a dollar cost averaging tool that's being built out where you'll be able to make investments into tokens that you like. So you, for example, you can have your ADA wallet investing into some min tokens or something like that, and you can choose how much you want to buy at what price or what period, and it will just carry out those trades. You can sort of queue up 5 over a month or something, and then it will place those trades for you at the price that you've asked it to take it at. So it's a really good way of managing your entry price across multiple assets. So a really good way of growing your portfolio without having to sit in front of a trading desk all day. But I can't find that URL off the bat, so I'll maybe come back to that another time, maybe once it's in public beta, and give it another cover. But yeah, really good application coming soon. And what I will do is try and find the video where he tested it out on his Twitter channel and post that in with the Discord link, so you can at least have an idea of what it's about. Okay, good. Let me jump back to my notes. So the other one I mentioned earlier that I did want to talk about today was Empower. So I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 12, 18 months, something like that. Empower, who are the real estate related crypto project, they had an NFT sale for their seed NFT. And if anybody bought one of those NFTs, then you now have the ability to earn or gain some airdrop tokens off the back of it. Some airdropped EMP tokens. If we have a quick look at tap tools for the EMP token, you can see that it's got a long history and is doing well as a token. Come on, in your own time, EMP. In the past 30 days alone, it's up 10%. But you can see it's got some, apart from at launch, where it had a huge drop off, and a lot of these projects tend to do. Since then, it's been fairly steady with, sensible price movements, nothing too crazy volatile, but a nice recent pump. So this is an early project. What I particularly like about them is that they have real world bricks and mortar appearing off the back of this project. So they're building out homes in Mozambique, like I mentioned, and their model is that they'll work with local property developers who need funding. They'll find people who want to buy and own homes, and they tend to be sort of the real mainstay job holders in a country, like doctors, nurses, teachers, policemen, firemen, guys who've got sensible, strong income on jobs that will never be at risk, who can afford a house, would be able to afford a house in a Western economy, but within Mozambique, only 7%, might be less than that, I think 7% of the population actually have access to a mortgage, because the finance sector just doesn't have enough to spread out in loans, and there's no mechanism for anybody to really own their own home. So what Empower have done is find the property developers, find the people who want to buy a home, and pair them together to create a financial relationship through cryptocurrency that will let them developers build, and then the home owners move in, pay part lease, part mortgage for that property, and eventually end up owning it, even though the mortgage market doesn't really exist in Mozambique. So it's a really good way of actually providing ownership of property, stability and security for young professionals in a difficult developing nation. And their NFT collections, if you have the seed one, you can now go and use it to claim Empower tokens, which are the ones I showed you on TapTools. Again, I might not have a connection for this wallet, so let me try it now. That's in. Yeah, I think it's offering just to sell because I don't have the sorry, just to buy because I don't have the seeds token in my wallet. But if I did, then I could come into here. So if any of you do hold that seed NFT, you can come into here, attach your wallet, and then it'll give you some tokens to claim. And there's up to 45 Empower tokens per seed NFT available to grab. The seed NFT, if you don't have one and you did want one because you like the project, looking to invest, and you want some free ADA on top of your NFT investment, because it does cost you to buy this NFT more than you'll get back in Empower tokens. But if you like the project anyway, then this might be something you want to do. You can have a look on JPEG store for the Empower World Mobile Seed NFT. Floor price 225 ADA, so it's not cheap, but these are cool little assets to have. And most of these have not claimed their 45 Empower tokens. So you can in fact take their ID, so 1619, for example. You can go to the Empower site, and there was somewhere I spotted where you can actually check to see if the I think it was this one. Yeah, so actually no, it has picked up my NFT. So that's my NFT, and you can see that it's now claimed the 45 Empower tokens. But you can put in the ID of the other tokens somewhere in this Explorer to check whether they've claimed their claim their free Empower. And if not, you can buy one of these tokens and then go and claim it as well. So let's have a look. 1619. Oh, that's right. There was no actual search mechanism, so you'd have to scroll through them, find 1619, and then see if it's available. If it's got any Empower available. It's got a forever load thing, so you have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. It'll come up, and then there's 1621. Could be in here somewhere. You can do a browser search, Control F, and search on page. But I'm not going to find it out. But yeah, you can check on any of these, see what's see if they've been claimed. So like this one, that's had 7 claimed, 38.5 unclaimed, 0 claimed, 42 claimed, 0 claimed, 0 claimed, 0 claimed. So most of them don't have anything claimed yet. So you can actually do a bit of research, and know you're getting extra bonus value on your NFT if you bought it straight away. So that's a little exercise, a little DeFi hack for you if you wanted to go and have a look and play. But yeah, do check out this project. I think it's really got legs. They have some very, very smart finance-minded guys working for them, building out their whole investment platform. It's real-world property development that's going on. So it's not something pie in the sky. It's not all based on NFTs and imaginary magic money. It's real world assets that you're given the opportunity to buy into. So you can participate helping people buy homes, and you can also help property developers build property, and you can just benefit from the whole growth of this space. This is the link to their black paper, they call it, instead of a white paper for some reason. That's a deep in-depth video from their quantitative analyst who really knows his stuff, certainly more than I do, and can detail you how their tokenomics work. So if you are a real savvy investor and no property in particular, then this is a good place to come and learn and do some analysis. I think these guys are going to be huge, personally. But yeah, it's still early, so you are getting in at the ground level, and there's lots of various investment mechanisms that they're looking at, they're building on, and their token is all going to benefit off the back of it. So jump in, have a read around, see what you think, do your own due diligence, and then if you like the look of it, you can get hold of their token, you can get involved in their NFT space, you can invest in their some of their instruments to participate. Next link was this one. I think this is just the black paper. Yeah, so this is their white paper, released a year ago, and in here you can get into the nitty-gritty of their ambitions and hopes. And it's full-on investment paper, so you can actually do some full due diligence on it if you're able. Okay, good. Any questions on Empower? If not, then we can dive into my regular stint on Project Catalyst. So last week, Paul, you were asking about the desktop voting center and whether they're going to have the ability to vote in Catalyst using a desktop app. We're not quite there still, but we are on the way. There's an expectation, a loose ambition to have this ready for Fund 14, I think it was. So that's 3 funds from now. We're in Fund 11 at the moment. But this will then let us bring voting off our mobile phones and down onto our desktops through a web app. So this is a quick video that you can watch to see.
Hi, this is a short demo for the new project.
to see how the voting center will work. So I'll drop the links so you can watch it yourself and listen to the audio. It just goes through this auto interface, and within this interface, they've also got scope for delegating your vote to a representative. So that's one of the things that I was thinking of doing, is running the DREP for Cardano, so people could give their voting power over to me, and then I will take people's opinions, do due diligence, and vote on decisions using the weight of us as an aggregate. And that's one way of sort of engaging in more governance actions with more of the data that we have, without everybody having to be in deep on every decision. And if you find someone you trust in the space who is a DREP, then you can delegate your vote to them to vote on topics that you aren't an expert in, but you do want to voice your opinion on. So that's a really good way of getting experts in the space, respected experts in the space, their voting power up, so that we're starting to make, really better decisions in and around, areas of expertise and topics that the best people in the space understand and know, rather than just relying on novices to be making decisions. That's going to be a crucial part of getting good voting outcomes. There's another video here which goes through attaching your wallet to the Catalyst testnet. So these are big infrastructure projects being built out to run the next generation of Catalyst infrastructure. So at the moment, we're battling with IdeaScale, the mobile voting app, and Google spreadsheets, basically, to manage Catalyst. This next iteration will be full-blown app suite, running iterations of the Jormungandr blockchain, that's the voting blockchain on Cardano, in parallel, so we can actually run test nets of the voting system and the and project, so we could run micro iterations of Project Catalyst itself, changing parameters, all with it being tracked and managed on the blockchain rather than just in Google spreadsheets and people's opinions and things like that. Now that will be a good move to make, and I say that as a completely generous act, because I've just messed up my Project Catalyst Fund 11 proposal. I put an old budget figure in, which meant that I was beyond the cap of the new fund. So even though I'd done the workings correctly down below, I entered the wrong field number into the field at the top from a couple of weeks ago. Didn't go back and update it, and so my application for funding has been archived. So I'm gonna have to wait for the next fund to get in on that. And even though that's very painful to me, because there was hours of work and I was using other people to get it over the line, and it was my mistake. I think that's a good thing that I was rejected, because it means that there's an even playing field between everybody participating. Like, I could go directly to Danny, who's an employee of IOG, he's on the Project Catalyst team, and could go and bend his ear. And we've got a long-standing friendship, working relationship. He has access to the systems at the moment. I could even pay him. I could bribe him to just change my parameter for me after the changes had been closed off, and get my application in. I'd still be subject to a vote, but yeah, that's one thing that I could do. There's a human element there. Once we've got this blockchain-backed system up in place, then there will be no room for coercion of people to make these sort of last-minute changes and get in favors being had. And that's a real move for true transparency and clarity, and which is crucial around governance decisions in particular. So something that's coming and is a welcome addition. If you wanted to play with the testnet, you can actually do that now. It is a little involved in that I've shown you how to use Eternal. Now I've shown you how to switch into preview mode and testnet mode. Well, to interact with the testnet, you have to go a step further again and actually get a bespoke version of the Eternal wallet to be able to interact with it. So, yeah, I don't blame you if you don't want to touch it, but it will get simpler. It's not It's not rocket science. You can do it, but yeah, it may be beyond your comfort levels at the moment. But this will again just show you what's coming in the next iterations, and it is looking so much slicker than the platform we're battling at the moment. So I'm really looking forward to that. And it may be that I'll run a session on this. It's like I've been in and registered as a delegated representative within this testnet environment. So once this gets to the point of actually running some votes, you can actually go on, and if you have taken the trouble to be involved, you can actually go and delegate your vote to me, and then you don't have to be involved anymore. Or you can see the challenges within Project Catalyst. Again, these are just replicas of what was released in Fund 10, but it gives you an impression of where we're going in terms of the voting interface for Project Catalyst. How does that make you feel, Paul? Looks a bit tidier.
Good, Jonathan. And that delegation, would that be just for that one round?
Yeah. So I think each vote would have, your vote power would be delegated for a certain parameter, for a certain action. So that would be Fund 11 or Fund 10 in this instance, and you delegate your vote power for that. The next fund, you probably have to redelegate if you want to delegate again, or just take the voting yourself. And there's all sorts of discussion around this. Is work in progress. There's discussion around, can we have partial delegation, so you can actually retain half your voting power for yourself to vote on projects that you like, and then give half your voting power to someone who is an expert in particular areas, particular fields. So you might have a DREP. So I might stand up and say, I'm going to be a DREP. I will only be voting on state pool operator projects. Retain half your voting power for yourself, but however much voting power you wanted to put into state pool, and you trust me as an operator, then I will voting for this project. And if you want to delegate half your voting power to me for that, then you then don't have to worry about finding the proposals, picking the right ones, and so on and so forth. And that way we can choose to move our vote power towards the experts that we trust in the space, rather than trying to take on the responsibility of knowing all the technical details and making the right decisions ourselves, which is, it's a compromise. But I think in terms of balancing overload, what people's capacities are in terms of reading, learning, understanding, making wide decisions, versus handing over all our power to some delegated representatives, like we do in our political voting systems. You vote for the Conservative Party, you vote for Labour, and within that is a whole spectrum of nasty and nice people with nasty and nice views, and you're just throwing your lot in with one of those when it comes to some of the elections, some of the decisions we're trying to make as a nation. So this is trying to retain that level of granularity where your voice can be heard at a small level, but also allow you to, if it's a topic you just don't understand, but you do trust this person to make right decisions for, that is something that we can have on a much more granular level. We don't have to be, putting all our vote power into one prime minister or something like that. We can actually have the professor from our school who we trust to vote on chemistry, voting on things that involve chemistry, which is like a very sensible approach to making decisions.
Can I ask a two-part question? With our A starter, and obviously the accumulation of ADA in that, can that be used in this vote? And what is happening, obviously, with ADA?
So the opportunity to have A starter opportunity that we did, we actually bought the AA token. So we've handed our ADA over. It went into the multi-sig wallet, and then we signed that off over into the hands of A starter. So A starter could be using that ADA to vote, but we can't anymore. If we'd got a different opportunity, and we just sort of reserved the ADA into that multi-sig wallet, and A starter were able to sign it as well, then yes, in theory, we could have that available to vote. So we could create a voting collective if you wanted, if that's the sort of thing you were thinking about. Yeah, we could.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's a good idea. We could we could use some investment funds. Maybe we're using our multi-sig wallet to stake to earn extra tokens from ISPOs. Maybe we're trying out some yield farming or something. If we're retaining custody of the ADA or any of the tokens that does have some voting power, then we could, yes, be as a group, as a collective, actually using that vote. This platform is a way to do it on an individual basis, so you can remove and allocate your vote power as you wish. But yeah, ultimately, this is just going to be a slicker interface for making voting decisions around the innovation fund that is Project Catalyst. But yeah, good thoughts. My last link.
I was to say, and has there been any updates on the A-Starter launch?
I'm not sure what you last heard, but there's a couple of things I can touch on. Maybe I just wrap up this while I'm on this page. Yeah, so these are the instructions, these are documentation if you did want to get involved in trying out the testnet of Project Catalyst. Again, the more testers we have, the better. I was speaking to Mike McNulty, who's sort of the I think he's a product owner for Project Catalyst within the tech team, and so he was advocating me to encourage you all to get involved. I explained that it might be a bit too much to get people to install iterations of Eternal Wallet, but this is something that they're keen to see, and certainly when that level of tech comes down to one that we can get more accessible from our existing Eternal Wallets, I think that'll probably make it easier for people. The reason that you have to get a special version of Eternal Wallet is that it's interacting with a special version of the blockchain. So they're working with the Eternal team to make that happen, but we can't just do that with our usual wallets. It actually supports NuFi as well, but there we go. There's a video on how to download the wallet if you want to get involved in that. Right, good. So yeah, quick look at A-Starter. So I don't know what you last heard from me on A-Starter, but the project is looking good. There's no further mention of the token launch. Dinesh met up with JC in Dubai, who's our contact with A-Starter. So we had a quick words with him there. And that's not where I wanted to be. I wanted to be on DeFi Llama. They have had a bit of good or a bit of progress that we can see publicly. So A-Starter is a brand. It's not even a launched project yet on Cardano, but you can see it in their ranking in the DeFi Llama metrics as the 5th largest project by total value locked. So taking over the fact they don't actually have a live product yet, this is quite an incredible and mystifying thing to start with. But having spoken to the team, this is actually because Emergo, which are the one of the founding entities, IOG, Emergo, and Cardano Foundation, Emergo back A-Starter, and so they have put in a whole load of liquidity ready for their DEX launch. So that will make the A-Starter DEX launch really top notch in terms of liquidity available. So they'll have an instant leg up in the space, and this is all on-chain data. So DeFi Llama have nothing to do with Emergo or A-Starter, so their metrics can be trusted. This is looking at where the ADA is sitting as it's distributed around chain, and A-Starter now have got $90 million ADA worth of ADA sitting in their wallets, which will be used for their DEX and their launchpad. So exciting times. And while we're here, I always like looking at this chart because it shows the growth of TVL on Cardano. Total value locked is a swayed metric on Cardano. In Ethereum, so that's where you would tend to trust the TVL value most, because they have lots of mechanisms for locking your Ethereum into smart contracts, into projects and protocols. And so they've got 29 billion locked in things at the moment. You can see that they have had sort of a decline for the year, but then just started to creep back up again. And that's looking at things with their US dollar value in terms of their Ethereum value. So how much of the Ethereum that's available is locked in protocols. You can actually see that it is dipped. It's dropped all year, and now just recently has had a dump down, and it's jumped back up again. So it's not depressing, but it's a sign of direction. Even though the bull market has returned, the bull cycle has returned, in my opinion. They haven't had that uplift where more Ethereum is being locked into smart contracts and projects. And I think that's because there are now competitive chains out there like Cardano, which operate much more cheaply. And so we'll probably see some of this 29 billion US dollar equivalent value of Ethereum. Of some of that value will start moving over into other chains. And if you look at some of the high profile ones like Solana, for example, they have had this price action in terms of US dollar. In terms of their own token, you can see this is a profile of people moving stuff into locked opportunities. Let's have a look at Arbitrum. I've heard people talk about that. One's doing very well in terms of US dollar, in terms of ETH. It's yeah, on a par. So again, another Ethereum sort of base one that's not blowing our minds. Yes, yeah. You got Tron. That's doing well in terms of US dollar. Again, fair to middling in terms of their own token, and that's got 8 billion. If we look at Cardano, much smaller TVL, but in terms of the US dollars coming in, performing much more aggressively, which is very cool. And then in terms of ADA, you can see it's been on a steady climb all year. So this is really showing a confidence in the new offerings that are coming out within Cardano. People are moving their holdings into locked projects, so looking for higher returns on their holdings, so Optim Finance, and locking things in liquidity pools on automated money makers like MinSwap and MusiSwap. And all these projects here are available now on Cardano that weren't there the last bull cycle. So we had none of this. We had no stable coins. We barely had native tokens. We had no smart contracts. We had no functionality on Cardano at the last bull cycle, and we reached our $3 valuation. So this cycle, where we suddenly have all this activity, all these functions available, this is attracting US dollar investment into the space at a significant rate, and and that then is flowing into these locked protocols on here. Now, of course, none of these figures, this $325 million, takes into account the fact that everybody who holds ADA, well, not everybody, but the bulk of ADA is staked on chain. So people have moved it into stake pools because it's a proof of stake protocol, and they're earning their 3.5% APR on their ADA holdings. And none of that ADA locked in staking is considered locked, because you can spend it anytime, you can move it out. And so that figure doesn't play into that dollar equivalent of the ADA value that is actually staked on Cardano is not included in this figure. Whereas in Ethereum, you have to move your Ethereum into a smart contract to be able to earn any yield from it. So realistically, on Cardano, everything is skewed to look much smaller than it actually is, because it's the same functionality. People are earning off the back of their ADA, as people in Ethereum are earning off the back of their Ethereum, but the figures are very different because of the way that they're measured. So bear that in mind. Think about the future of Cardano and where it's probably heading, and let's let's share the good news, because there are good times coming. Already have been, but it's looking good. The future is bright. I'm just going to charge my mouse. Sorry.
Jonathan?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this probably should be off the record. I'm not sure, but the 5% club that we've got. So, what's it likely that we're gonna meet the target of getting to $3 to $4 in near future?
My opinion.
Yeah. Sorry?
My opinion. I believe we'll get there in the next. The next year, certainly. So once the Bitcoin halving happens, then there should be a heavier flow of funds in, and Cardano will 10x quite easily. So we're at 30, what was it, 37p today? So yeah, we're 10x from here. Will take us into that range.
Yeah, well, 49 today, so it's shot up today.
49 cents, yeah. Amazing. Really good growth. So we can see the sort of trajectory that we're taking across the board. Bitcoin, again, everybody follows Bitcoin. So if you see Bitcoin behaving positively, then you know that these smaller cap coins are going to do the same. And you can see on some of these smaller market cap tokens, we're still in the top 10, but we're seeing significantly different profile to Bitcoin already, even at this stage of the market. And normally Bitcoin leads for a long time. So there are good things inbound. The 24-hour volume on Cardano has been $713 million. On Solana, it's $4 billion. And that's, if we take out the stable coins from this top 10, that leaves us with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, XRPs related to the fiat world. It's kind of like almost considered like a stable equivalent. Solana, and then we've got staked Ether, which is kind of bundled in with that Ethereum, and then we've got Cardano. So we're really sort of top 5, top 6, and that gives us a whole load of confidence in its longevity. But then also considering the fact we've got all this functionality there now that we didn't have before in the last bull cycle, then to I think it's highly likely we will mirror that trajectory very easily and potentially do better, because there should be some wins over some of these larger cap tokens with less functionality and higher price, like Ethereum. So that's my opinion. I think we'll do it this within the next 12 months.
Yeah, so Zonta, again, this is about 5% club. They had this Cardano as a main sort of coin. I think they're holding. Did you got around? I know your suggestion was I thought it was a very, very good idea. Do you know, like Mark managed to go through some sort of multi-signature, like custodial sort of like agreement, or it didn't happen?
No, it didn't happen. I think by the sounds of it, we're not the biggest holders in that investment group. So there's probably more complex, more larger investors with more of a say in what happens with that. And because the ADA holding will be all bundled together, it's probably going to be hard for Missam to manage the distribution between us and them. And so, yeah, the way he's managing it, hopefully it's sound and secure and earning rewards. But yeah, it's probably just too involved to get us our desires brought in like that. But I'm far happier with where it's looking now than it was just 6 months ago. And again, really good in my opinion that the investment was made in Cardano as a backup measure than in any other token. Shows that there was some foresight there and some savviness, in my opinion. Dinesh?
Oh, yes, I've got a general question. So last time when I got into Cardano, I didn't really know much about the ecosystem, Cardano ecosystem, and the price of that sort of crept up to $3 at the peak, and I could see the hype of that was because of the roadmap that was being followed. But I only got to know about the tap tools and the other projects since I've started following Floyd 7. So am I right in thinking that when the price of Cardano was around $3, none of or say 90% of the projects that are on the ecosystem currently didn't actually exist? Is that my assumption? Is that correct assumption?
Yeah, 100% correct. Yeah. So tap tools
so
themselves didn't exist.
I see. So in terms of where Cardano was when the price was $3, how was the value of that was generated without the projects developing on its ecosystem?
Yeah. So back at this time, your functionality was buying a token, speculating purely on its future value. There was lots of technical white papers that were written by IOG, by academics in research space. So people knew that there was a good foundation there. And everyone was just buying with the hope, it was all hopium really. So they were expecting the token to do well, and so it did well. Now that's been proved, that we have 2 years of running with smart contracts and never having had a hack. We've had no Cardano project has lost billions in in a hack, because that technical layer is there. Then it staggers me that we're this small, but it's really exciting because it's given us all opportunities to invest early still. So realistically, I think in the next bull cycle, with all this functionality now, and all the functionality that we're I talk about week in, week out, all this is being built in this declining market. I mean, if you finance your project at this stage, you got investment or one project catalyst funding, you've got it in ADA, and so when you got in, your price might have pumped a bit, but your budget then you've been burning through building out your products like Axo Trade. Your holdings have been diminishing and diminishing and diminishing all the time, and yet we've seen project after project after project launch on Cardano. So there is real passion in the developer community to be building on Cardano, despite the massive technical overhead. Learning a brand new programming language, one that you're not comfortable with, that is, I've just been through the Haskell course on dealt by Emergo Academy, which was excellent, but there is, huge fundamental approach differences between programming in Haskell than there are to programming in a more traditional language like C or Java, or I develop in PHP for the web. Significantly different. So there's a technical overhead to get over, to jump, to start developing in that space. You've also got this declining value of any investment you had, because it's probably sitting in ADA, possibly sitting in ADA. And so for anybody that's made it this far, they're now starting to see it rise up again. And, you know, in all this time, all these difficulties, all these pressures, we've still seen token project after project launch. And so it's a really, you know, that to me is the most bullish signature for Cardano, in that there are all these challenges to developing in the space. And we have been in a bear market since our, you know, most investment happened. And we're still, you know, we're still having project after project launch. So it just means that people are desperate to be on Cardano to build and get stuff out there. So I think it's a really, really good sign.
So when I come, I'm thinking in terms of, when I look at Solana is just going up and up and up and up. And one of the arguments is there's large number of developers on that ecosystem. So if you compare that to Cardano, then Cardano it's actually just starting out in terms of its development of the whole ecosystem. Is that the correct way of reading it?
Yeah, I'm not a huge expert on Solana. I don't know the ecosystem, but I do know that, for example, that one of the largest investors in Solana was FTX. So the FTX collapse, should have done more damage in my mind.
Yeah, I'm just looking in terms of what's going on the ecosystem itself. So all these projects on TapTools show that the Cardano ecosystem's got large number of developers. I was watching the Project Catalyst summary in the midweek, and it said 700 projects being funded or completed. So am I right in thinking that some of those projects will end up as being real projects on the ecosystem?
Yes, so certainly that, you know, that I'm aware of the developer activity on Cardano far more than I am on Solana, and there's huge numbers developing on Cardano, which is great. The FTX damage to Solana didn't really diminish the enthusiasm for it, so can't knock them out on that front. The only, you know, the biggest issue I have with Solana is that their underlying layer 1 protocol has had to be quite centralized to stay functional. So they've got 30 participants instead of 3,000 on Cardano, and they've needed to reboot their chain, you know, collude together to reboot their chain to get it working several times in the last year. And so that, you know, is a red flag technically to me, and longer term technical red flags are far more concerning to me than financial ones. So Solana is doing really well price action wise. But in my view, my perception, I see that more as a success of the marketing, the venture capital that's already been plowed into it. The investors on board are larger investors. They're bordering on institutional size investors, and they're looking for a return on their investment. And so the price action is going to be much more favorable on Solana than it is on Cardano. Cardano doesn't have any VC money in it really anymore. And all the tokens being distributed, there are no big holders. So any activity we see, any price action we see on Cardano will be based on fundamentals, like new developers, new value being attracted in new projects. So all the projects you mentioned on Cardano that you're seeing, Project Catalyst and so on and so forth, TapTools, they are generating the value in the market, not money being plowed in from venture capital. And so to me, that is a long-term viable, sustainable way to grow an industry, rather than institutional money flowing in and then being sucked out when it's going to make its most money. So I think, I put my weight behind Cardano rather than Solana, even though you could do much better financially from Solana this year than Cardano. But I'm in it long term. I sleep easy at night, trusting my gut in terms of fundamentals, like the technical side of things. But yeah, doesn't mean you shouldn't have some Solana in your portfolio. Certainly not.
It's mainly I was thinking in terms of the activity that's going on Cardano ecosystem. So the way I'm reading it is on Tap Tools, there's a large number of projects on Cardano. Some of them are at different levels. Some of them are on test net, some of them are on mainnet, some of them are work in progress. But they're all at the different stages of their development cycle, and will eventually, some or all will become mature enough and be successful, and that's what will actually drive Cardano's price in the future. That's what I'm thinking, because of their success, because of their internet activity, transaction activities. Those transactions will actually determine the price of Cardano. That's the way I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly what I
That's
view as well.
value drivers. Yeah, the value drivers for Cardano token will be the success of the projects that are being worked on at the moment on Cardano ecosystem.
Yeah. So yeah, all these projects have got over significant hurdles to be here, and they are building despite adverse conditions, and they're attracting money in. So I mean, if you're really looking at price and you want to see something, go to the homepage, sort by the last 30 days of growth, and 2,000% growth in the last 30 days on this one project alone. And so if you were aware of CGI, which is I think it's Cardano Generative Intelligence, so like a GPT, you heard of Chat GPT. This is an AGI engine, artificial intelligence engine, being built on Cardano, and has attracted investment that's meant that their growth in their value of their token has gone up 2,000% within the last 30 days. So if you were an early holder of that in any sizable chunk, then you've really you've had your bull market already.
The question in that case, Jonathan, is that's a good example to look at as a project. You'd only get, I mean, in terms of retail, like myself, I only used to wait on Binance and Swissborg to see which tokens are coming up, but you'd never know about these kind of tokens until you start looking at Tap Tools, or going to Muesli Swap, or going to Teddy Swap, or all these new swaps that are coming up at the moment, isn't it? That's probably the way to go in terms of developing your skills, isn't it?
Yeah. You do have to be, diving in, keeping your ear to the ground. Twitter's a great source of information on these new projects. But yeah, more and more I find myself just looking at Tap Tools. I'd never heard of CGI until it turned up on the trending tokens list. I don't even know how old the project is. I don't know what value it adds. It's just got all the right keywords, so it's a bit alarming that you mentioned AI and Cardano, then that's going to hit most of the Cardano market in terms of investment. So it might not be real value, but it's worth looking at, certainly at 2,000% in 30 days. But some of these other projects in this top performing in 30 days, like the Ops token, I've spoken about that repeatedly as related to the Muesli Swap ecosystem. I hold some Opt. Optim as well. I talk about that repeatedly because they're the ones that offered the yield, the bond for the pool. So we've got $1 million in the pool because of the Optim Finance project, and I'm a token holder as a result. and I will be airdropping some Optim tokens to you guys, you delegators,
Mhm.
once that bond ends. So you can look forward to that. And I think 85% up in 30 days. IAG I've talked about as the infrastructure layer for storage. I want to be an IAG operator. I'm working on that at the moment. Again, another great token to look at. Hunt is this DEX aggregator, so it's a really slick user interface, and I'm carrying out more and more swaps using that. I demoed it a couple of weeks ago, and they have their own token, so you can get on that gravy train as well. There's Clay that I was talking about, Claymates, who run the NFT project that Snoop Dogg's involved, got himself involved in. They're up 35% just on their fungible token, let alone their NFTs. Ncoins privacy token that's built out on top of the layer one, so it's not midnight, but it is privacy. It's a way of obfuscating how much ADA you're actually holding in your wallet. Husky tokens up there as well, 26%. But of course, remember, Husky is worth nothing, and it will always be worth nothing. It's a stable coin in that regard. JPEG, the native token from JPEG Store, the one where you can buy already NFTs that I've been pointing at all the time. There's Wing Riders, Genius X, which is the Genius Shield platform I was just pointing you to as well. That's their Launchpad token, 18%. So again, all these tokens are pumping, and we're right at the start. I mean, I say we're right at the start. We've since the low, Cardano is already up 100%. So you could have doubled your holdings already from the bottom to where we are now, which is amazing. Or you have doubled what you were holding if you bought at that point. So from, like, in answer to Utan's question, to go from here where we are now to was it $4 or something, where the trigger point is, it's 7x. So I think that's very achievable. That's not too far above our previous all-time high, and considering we've got all this new technology available, new projects involved, that's not an unbelievable move for the next bull run. So that, we're talking about that in the next 2-3 years, hitting that very easily. And I suspect it could be in the year, certainly get back up around this level. So yeah, we're still early. I mean, this is where we're sitting at the moment. We've got all this way to go. So, don't panic, don't yeet into things, fear of missing out. But do start thinking, okay, how much of my portfolio am I willing to risk? Because all these are low cap projects. They could all fail. They're all subject to the same pressures of any technical market. And when Tesla has a bad day, billions are lost off its cap. The same issue can happen to a small project. You have a small technical issue like MusicSwap having a bit of PR problem. It can halve their token price overnight. So you got to be aware of that risk, that volatility in this space. But what portion of your portfolio are you comfortable in putting into some high risk, high return projects? Make that decision that sits comfortably with you, that allows you to sleep at night and not worry about it if it disappears, if it goes to zero. And then think, okay, let's look at this, top 10, top 20 projects. Which ones have I heard about in the past year? Which ones do you think have got legs? And do some research. Start listening to Cardano with Paul. He's got some really good interviews with all these project leads. And then say, okay, I'm going to stick 100 quid into Opt token or Optim, or see what happens to it. Might go to nothing. It might 100x in the next year. so yeah, just it's high risk. None of this is advice, but it is opinion, and it's it's what I am doing with a portion of my portfolio. So think about it yourself.
Even Husky is doing so good, huh? It's quite sort of like, as a meme coin, still it's
yeah, Husky. These stuffed toys. That's what this
Yeah.
is what Husky token is
Yeah.
all about. Absolute nonsense. But regardless, the meme coin that's worth nothing has shot up. So yeah, there we
All
go.
right, then.
Yeah.
Just a quick one. When this Optim round finishes, do we have to go back and, you know, your loan's finished or whatever? Do we have to go back and reclaim anything, or does it just kick out our
So
contribution?
the tokens will be coming to me, so it's going to sit in my personal wallet. So you're going to have to trust me to stay friends with me to pay out to you. It's not an automatic distribution. It's not a staking reward or anything, but yeah.
Yeah, we did we obviously did an investment in it as well.
Oh, okay, right. That's what you're talking about. Yeah, so when the bond finishes, let's have a quick look. I got it open somewhere. Have I got anything in this wallet? I'm not sure that I do. Let's quick check. Some new stuff I did. I do, yes. So I bought one Optim bond token, which is represented by 100 ADA in my own bond. So I borrowed 1 million ADA, and I also lent myself 100 ADA. Didn't give it like that. Just an example, so I could demo how this works. So when this expires, which will be in 9 epochs time, so 45 days, month and a half in the new year, this will mature. The bond will close, and then this interface will change so that it will be what's the phrase, liquidated, I suppose. So even if the bond runs to completion, which this will, because I've paid all the interest now, when it goes to that, it'll stay in the same state it is now, and it'll take someone to go in and request to liquidate the bond. Once that is done, it will trigger all the OPT tokens within, no, not OPT, what are they? OBT, I think they are, something like that, will be distributed to your wallets. So I'll be getting one of those tokens back. And then once you have that back in your wallet, you can transform that into the ADA. I think that's the way it works. So I haven't done it yet myself, so I'm flying a bit blind as well, Paul, but this will all be automated, and this will be you know, there's no risk of you losing anything out or it never being redeemable. You'll always be able to redeem your Optim bond token for ADA, and you can do that at any point you want after the bond closes. So it will pop up into this active bonds to convert section. It'll move from active bonds into closable bonds, and then so it'll move from active bonds into active bonds to convert, and then it'll go into closable bonds. Is that right? Or am I the wrong way around? Active bonds into closable bonds. Oh, not sure. Then yeah, you'll be able to click something, it'll send the tokens to your wallet, and then you can redeem them for ADA. So here, this one's telling me that I've currently accrued 5.26 ADA. So for the 100 ADA I invested into this bond for a year, I'm going to get back an additional 5.26 plus my original 100 ADA. Does that answer your question?
Yep. Thanks very much.
Cool. Yes. So this is all to do with the Optim bonds token, which is related purely to the bonds. The Optim token. So you can see here for each bonds token that you have. So this is one bonds token. For each bonds token you have, you'll be also given 2 Optim tokens. So I will be getting 2 Optim tokens back from this bond, and you can see on the Optim bond token isn't listed here, but the Optim token is. So that is this one. So it is worth 0.95 ADA at the moment. So I'll be getting 2 ADA back on top of my, or the equivalent in Optim token, 2 ADA on top of the 5 ADA interest that I've earned for staking 100. So it's a nice little bonus. And you can see that the Optim token itself at launch didn't, pumped a little bit, dipped, not too drastically, which was always nice to see. Much happier with this sort of curve. And then since then it's risen up to a high of 1.04. It dipped again to 0.7, and we're now back up into the 0.98 range. So this bodes well for the future of Optim as well. I think, again, considering we are in the market cycles, this is going to climb from here. So it could be a token to hold on to rather than converting straight to ADA. Again, in my opinion, no advice. Yeah, you guys will be getting some Optim tokens airdrop to you if you've been a long-term delegated to the pool. Good. Well, that covers all my notes. Any other questions today? Gone quite far over. So go and do some due diligence, do some research, write out a plan.
No, I'll just go to bed.
You just go to bed, Paul. Yeah, good shout. Write out your plan. If you need any help, talk to me on the Discord. We'll get you through it all. And yeah, let's grow our wealth together. Also, while helping out some people around the world, like with the Empower token. I love that project. Helping someone get a home is a good thing. Good. All right. Thanks, everyone. I shall wrap up there. Pleasure.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Have a good week.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Quick, Jonathan. I'll send you a WhatsApp message. My son's coming over from Prague over Christmas holidays, so just want to send you a message to have a chat about getting him onto Fluid Pool.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right.
I'll send you a WhatsApp message. Thanks.
Thanks all. See you all soon.
Bye.
All the best. Thanks.
Bye.